Etzebeth has fired some shots at Ireland and revealed their biggest mistake that they made in the 2023 World Cup. For some context, Etzebeth and Vincent Koch went on the Rugby pod, which is hosted by Jim Hamilton and Dan Bigger, and they spoke everything Springboks, World Cup related, and the Sharks. And when I say Etzebeth did not hold back, he did not hold back. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what Etzebeth said. I'm going to react to it and give you my opinion. As always, leave your opinion down in the comments. If you haven't, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're a Springbok fan, because as you know, we're on the way to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So just for a little bit more context before we dive into what Eoben said, as you know, the Springboks shared a group with Scotland and Ireland. The Springboks ended up losing to Ireland 13-8, and this is what the Irish said to Eoben after the game.
We've got Ireland coming up, obviously Wales first at Twickenham, but I mean that Ireland test matches, I think everyone except the Ireland and Springbok players are talking that one up. I mean, everyone's talking about that game. And
do you remember what you said to me after the game, or not?
I remember what I said to you.
Do you mind sharing it, or can I share it?
You can share it.
So, we know the result of the game. So Ireland played really well, Springboks, a close game. And then there was one of the final plays of the game was Eben, I'm going to say it, got picked up by James Lowe, and that was they made this kind of big thing, and the big hurrah, and then Zombie started blasting out. And then the lads are doing like the walk round to thank the crowd after, and then Eben saw him after, said, mate, how was that? And he obviously said it was a tough game. I says, fucking Ireland, he's like, mate, we'll get them back. We'll get them back. If they make it. Yeah. That's what he said, if they make it, and they never did. They never made it, but now they're coming back.
So the thing was, why I said that, so after the game they were, always you shake the guys' hands, and probably 12 out of the 23 when I shook their hand, they told me, see you guys in the final. And my immediate thought was, because the way the logs worked out, we were going to play France and they were going to play New Zealand, and my immediate thought was, are these guys seriously not even thinking about the All Blacks in a World Cup quarterfinal playing against them? So that remark, what they made, see you guys in the final, I was just like, yo, these guys are making a big mistake to look past probably one of the most dominant teams, or probably the most dominant team in the last 20 to 30 years of Test rugby. And I was just like, surely they can't. I mean, we would never say that too, because we know we're the host nation and we were going to have to pitch up to beat France in their backyard. And yeah, it just felt like they were just so confident saying things like that. See you in the final when you know we've got the mighty All Blacks coming up in the World Cup quarterfinal.
Did you say anything like when they said? Did you say if you get there?
Yeah, I said it in my head, and I remember sharing it. I think Frans Malherbe was with me, and I said, and with the Jager, I said, I don't know if these guys are riding a bit high, because obviously it's good to be confident, but you can never be arrogant in this game, because you can be the next week and down.
It can shoot you down this
That's
game.
the thing about rugby. You can have the best season, and you can have one slip up or one missed tackle, and a guy puts you on your ass, and that's the beauty of this game. You never on top forever.
So very, very interesting take from Etzebeth there. Obviously, he outlines what Ireland's biggest mistake was in the Rugby World Cup final, and that is that they were overlooking the All Blacks, and that maybe their confidence had turned into a little bit of arrogance. But following on from Chasing the Sun too, it's very, very cool to get these inside looks into these games, and this is something that we didn't get to see in Chasing the Sun. Maybe they didn't want to include it because it's a little bit traumatic, or maybe they just didn't capture it, or Etzebeth just didn't speak about it. But you can imagine from Ireland's perspective, right? Coming into that game against New Zealand, they were 18 games unbeaten, or they had won 18 games in a row. They had just beaten Scotland, they had just beaten the Springboks, and they were looking to the semis and to the final. And you can either look at it as the Irish being arrogant, or there is a way where you can see it as maybe they respect the Springboks so much in the fact that they knew that the Springboks were going to make the final and that they had to play them again. But you don't really get to say that to the Springboks when you have the All Blacks coming up, when you have to play someone in the semi-finals and then only then make it to the finals. And I think that shows the difference in the mindset between the Springboks and the Irish side at the moment, because the Springboks are very humble. Rassie Erasmus definitely checks them a lot. I mean, even after this Irish game in Chasing the Sun, we saw that Rassie Erasmus sat them down on that Monday morning and cucked them out. He asked, Sia, Eben, are you too big for this game? Are you bigger than South Africa? So Rassie Erasmus kept them in check, and it's from what Eben's saying here, it sounds like the Irish were a little bit overconfident going into that World Cup. And yes, there is that sort of balance between arrogance and confidence. And to be at the top level, you do have to think that you are better than everyone else around you. That is what makes the greatest sportsman so great. But there is a little bit of a discrepancy between confidence and arrogance, and Eben Etzebeth definitely thinks they were being a little bit arrogant there. Now, this has only lit the fire a little bit more under the series we got coming up against Ireland in about 2 months, and we know that Rassie and the Springboks love to play mind games. So in my head, I'm thinking that this is the start of the mind games, right? Eben Etzebeth is trying to get under the skin of the Irish. He's trying to out the Irish of being this arrogant side that maybe lights South African fans up a little bit, and maybe the South Africans get even more behind the Springboks. I don't know how that's possible, but I think there is going to be a lot of mind games coming up in the next couple of months, and I think this is the start of it. Eben Etzebeth is trying to fire up the South African fans to get behind them against the very, very arrogant side that Eben Etzebeth is saying in the Irish. And I think he's doing that because the Springboks haven't beaten Ireland since 2016. That is the last time the Springboks beat Ireland in an international game of rugby. So I do think there's a lot riding on this series against Ireland. Both sides want to show that they're the best in the world. You got the Springboks in number one. You got Ireland in that second position. Ireland want to come to South Africa and beat the Springboks, but the Springboks want to beat them 2-0 and gain their first victory over Ireland in 8 years. So there's a lot riding on this series against Ireland, which is why it's getting built up so much. And I can't wait for this series. It's going to be absolutely incredible. We can see the intensity in Eben Etzebeth and how he feels about this series coming up. If you listen to the whole podcast, you can really hear the intensity behind Vincent Koch and Eben Etzebeth in how they are fueled up for this clash against Ireland in a couple of months. As always, let me know what you guys think about Eben Etzebeth's comments. Let me know what you think about the series coming up against Ireland. As always, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.